The Golden Gates were 20 feet tall. I sat in my beat-up Honda outside Neverland Ranch, staring at those gates, trying to convince myself this was real. Behind them, a Ferris wheel, a train station, a zoo, and somewhere in that 2,700-acre fantasy, the most famous person on the planet. I was 23 years old. I'd just been hired as grounds maintenance staff, minimum wage plus housing. To most people, it was just a job. To me, it was a chance to work in paradise. I had no idea I was entering a prison disguised as a theme park. June 1993. My first day, a manager named Frank gave me the tour. We rode a golf cart through what felt like Disneyland, designed by a lonely billionaire. That's the train station, fully operational steam engine. Over there's the arcade, about 40 games, all set to free play. The movie theater seats 50 latest sound system. Zoo's got llamas, giraffes, an elephant named Gypsy, bumper cars, carnival rides, all of it. I kept waiting for the catch. There had to be a catch. Who uses all this? I asked. Frank's smile faltered. Mr. Jackson invites children from hospitals, charities, Make-A-Wish kids. That's what this place is for. Giving them a day they'll never forget. That's incredible. Yeah, Frank's voice went quiet. It is. But something in his tone made me uneasy, like he was trying to convince himself. I didn't meet Michael for the first 3 weeks. That wasn't unusual, Frank told me. Mr. Jackson kept irregular hours. Sometimes you'd go months without seeing him. Other times, he'd appear at 2 a.m. riding the Ferris wheel alone, staring out at the dark mountains. When you do see him, Frank warned, don't approach unless he speaks first. Don't ask for autographs. Don't take pictures. Don't mention the media, the allegations, the lawsuits, nothing. You're here to maintain the property, not be his friend. Understood? I nodded, but inside I was disappointed. I'd hoped to actually meet him, talk to him, tell him what his music meant to me. The first time I saw him, I understood why Frank's rules existed. It was late July, around midnight. I was checking the sprinkler system near the main house when I heard it. Soft piano music drifting from an open window. I stopped, frozen. That was him. Michael Jackson, playing piano, right there, maybe 50 feet away. The melody was haunting, not one of his hits. Something classical, melancholic, each note precise, but sad. Like whoever was playing had all the technical skill in the world, but was completely, utterly alone. I should have walked away, but I didn't. I moved closer to the window, staying in the shadows, just listening. That's when the music stopped. I can see you, you know. His voice was soft, high-pitched like in interviews, but gentler somehow, not performing. I stepped into the light, heart hammering. I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I didn't mean to. It's okay. He appeared at the window. Even in the darkness, I could see him clearly. Black fedora, red shirt, that distinctive profile. Do you like music? Yes, sir. I love your... Not my music. Music, all music. Yes, I do. He nodded slowly, studying me. Then, what's your name? David. David Martinez. Well, David Martinez, if you're going to eavesdrop on my piano playing, at least come inside and listen properly. It's rude to lurk in gardens. And just like that, I was inside Michael Jackson's house. The room was massive but cluttered. Like a child's bedroom expanded to mansion size. Arcade games along one wall, mannequins dressed in movie costumes, stacks of VHS tapes, toys, candy jars everywhere. And in the center, a grand piano. Michael sat back down at the keys. Do you know Chopin? Not really. Nocturne in E-flat major. He began playing. He wrote it when he was 20. About loneliness, they say. About being awake when the world sleeps. The music filled the room. I stood there, not knowing what to do with my hands, watching the world's biggest superstar play classical piano at midnight for an audience of one. When he finished, the silence felt heavy. Beautiful, I whispered. Lonely, he corrected. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I wasn't expecting. Fear. David Martinez, can I trust you? Of course, Mr. Jackson. How old are you? 23. Good. Adults are safer. He said it like he was trying to convince himself. The problem with children is they talk. Their parents talk. Everyone talks. And then the story changes. And then you're guilty of things you never did. I didn't know what to say. The allegations had been all over the news. Jordan Chandler, the accusations, the settlement rumors. I just wanted to help them, he continued, voice barely above a whisper. The sick kids. The ones nobody wanted. I built this place for them, a place where they could be happy, where nobody judged them or hurt them or... His voice cracked. Why does that make me a monster? It doesn't, I said, because I didn't know what else to say. The world thinks it does. He stood abruptly. You should go. It's late. Thank you for listening to the piano. And just like that, I was dismissed. Over the next 2 years, I saw Michael Jackson maybe 20 times. Always late at night. Always alone. Sometimes he'd be riding the train around the property, just circling endlessly. Other times, I'd find him in the movie theater watching old films, usually Peter Pan or E.T., Frank said. Once, I found him at the zoo at 4 a.m., sitting outside the elephant enclosure, just staring. Mr. Jackson, are you okay? He didn't turn around. Do you know why I like animals, David? No, sir. They don't want anything from me. They don't ask for autographs or money or proof that I'm still who I used to be. They just exist. Honestly. He paused. I envy them. I sat down next to him, keeping a respectful distance. We watched Gypsy, the elephant, sway gently, half asleep. Do you ever regret it? I asked. Being famous. Every single day. His voice was hollow. I was 5 years old when it started. 5. I never had a childhood. Never went to a normal school. Never had normal friends. My father made sure of that. And now I'm 36, and I'm still trying to be the child I never got to be. But the world won't let me. They think it's suspicious, perverse. Is that why you built Neverland? I built Neverland because I had nowhere else to go. He stood up, brushing dirt off his pants. When you're the most famous person in the world, David, you can go anywhere, but you belong nowhere. This ranch is the only place I don't have to be Michael Jackson. I can just be Michael, whoever that is. He walked away, hands in pockets, shoulders hunched, the loneliest silhouette I'd ever seen. 1995. The day Michael married Lisa Marie Presley, Neverland felt surreal. There were cameras everywhere, not allowed on property, but hovering in helicopters, long lenses pointed at the house. The staff was briefed. Pretend you see nothing. Hear nothing. Mr. Jackson's private life is private. But we all saw Lisa Marie, Elvis's daughter. She seemed genuine. Walked around Neverland like she belonged there, laughing at the animals, riding the Ferris wheel. For a few months, Michael seemed almost happy. I saw them together once, sitting on a bench near the train tracks. She was talking, animated, touching his arm. He was listening, a small smile on his face. It looked almost normal. But even from a distance, I could see the tension in his posture, like he was waiting for something to go wrong. Like happiness was something that happened to other people, not him. 6 months later, she was gone. The helicopters left. The ranch fell silent again. Michael went back to his nocturnal wandering. 1996 to 2003. The years blurred. New staff came and went. I stayed because, honestly, where else would I go? The pay was terrible, but housing was free. And there was something mesmerizing about being part of Michael Jackson's strange, sad empire. I watched him have more children. Prince, Paris, Blanket. He was obsessive about their privacy. Security doubled. No photos, no visitors. The kids lived in a bubble even tighter than Neverland itself. Sometimes I'd see him playing with them, pushing them on swings, showing them the animals. In those moments, he looked almost at peace, almost. But there was always security hovering, always cameras in the distance, always the sense that the walls were closing in. Do you think he's guilty? One of the newer staff asked me once. Of what? You know, the kid stuff. I thought about all those midnight conversations, the fear in his eyes, the desperate need to be understood. I think he's a broken person who never learned how to be normal, I said carefully. I think he genuinely loves children because they're the only ones who don't want something from him. But I also think he doesn't understand how it looks from the outside. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I've got. November 2003. Everything collapsed the day the police raided Neverland. I was trimming hedges near the main house when the convoy arrived. Dozens of vehicles, officers everywhere, helicopters overhead. They had a warrant. They were searching for evidence in a new abuse allegation. Gavin Arvizo, a cancer survivor who'd stayed at the ranch. Michael wasn't even there. He was in Las Vegas, shooting a video, but his sanctuary was being torn apart. I watched them carry out boxes of belongings, search the bedrooms, photograph everything. Staff members were questioned. The zoo animals were stressed from all the commotion, crying out in confusion. The magic was gone. Neverland had become a crime scene. I found Frank sitting on the train platform, head in his hands. "It's over," he said. "Even if he's innocent, it's over. Nobody recovers from this." He was right. 2005. The trial was a media circus. I wasn't called to testify, but I followed every moment. The prosecution painted Michael as a predator. The defense painted him as a naive man-child targeted by extortionists. I didn't know what to believe anymore. All I knew was the Michael I'd met didn't seem capable of what they described. But I also knew he had boundaries that made no sense to normal people. An adult man who had sleepovers with children, who saw nothing wrong with it because in his mind it was innocent. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But perception had become reality. When the jury read "not guilty" on all counts, I felt empty. He'd been acquitted, but his life was still destroyed. Neverland would never be the same. He'd never be the same. Michael left Neverland shortly after the trial and never came back. The ranch fell into disrepair. Staff was laid off. The rides stopped running. The animals were relocated. The place that was supposed to be paradise turned into a ghost town. I was one of the last to leave. Walked through the empty amusement park one final time, remembering all those midnight conversations with a man who just wanted to be understood. The golden gates closed behind me. I never saw Michael Jackson again. June 25th, 2009. I was at home when the news broke. Michael Jackson dead at 50, cardiac arrest. I sat there, numb, staring at the TV. They were already playing the hits, showing the moonwalk, calling him a legend. But all I could think about was the man at the piano at midnight, playing Chopin for an audience of one. The man sitting by the elephant enclosure at 4 a.m., envying animals for their honesty. The most famous person in the world who belonged nowhere. The world mourned a pop icon. I mourned the lonely man I'd known at Neverland. Today, people ask me all the time, what was Michael Jackson really like? And I never know how to answer, because the truth is complicated. He was kind. He was strange. He was generous. He was inappropriate. He was talented. He was broken. He was a victim. He was accused of being a predator. He was all of those things and none of those things. He was a 5-year-old boy who never got to grow up normally, trapped in a 50-year-old man's body, trying to recapture something that was stolen from him before he even knew what it was. And he built a 2,700-acre prison and called it paradise because he had nowhere else to go. Neverland Ranch is abandoned now. The rides are rusted. The buildings are empty. Nature is slowly reclaiming it. But sometimes, when the wind is right, locals say you can still hear music drifting from the main house. Piano music, melancholic and alone. I like to think it's Michael finally at peace in the only place he ever felt safe. Or maybe it's just the wind. Either way, I hope he found what he was looking for. I hope he found home.